White Bear Township Board meeting to order. First item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. We do have an agenda supplement, but there's no new items. So is there an approval to approve the agenda as submitted?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Steve's got it, I'll second.
Okay, those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Is there a motion to approve payment of bills?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we have two meetings to approve minutes for. The first one is the August 3rd Town Board meeting. Any corrections, comments?
I saw none.
If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the August 3rd Town Board meeting minutes are approved. Then we had an August 4th special meeting to discuss attorney-client issues. Are there any corrections to that?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the meeting minutes for August 4th are approved. The consent agenda has 5 items on it tonight. Ed, would you read those, please?
Excuse me, you got the August 11th one? Have we done that one? There's
Oh,
another
yeah,
special.
I'm sorry, we have one more, August 11. We also had another special attorney-client meeting. Any corrections to those meeting minutes?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the August 11 meeting minutes are approved. Okay, now consent agenda. There's 5 items. Steve, would you read those, please?
Yes. Item 5A on the consent agenda deals with town stormwater pollution prevention program. Going to call an informal public hearing for Monday, public hearing for Monday, October 3rd, 2016, at 7:10 PM for the annual presentation of the town's stormwater pollution prevention program. Item 5B is to receive the monthly construction report. Item 5C, based on town engineer review and recommendation, and including his recommended conditions, approve Comcast permit to place new underground coaxial cable line to service 1008 Meadowlands Drive, which work will include directional boring under Meadowlands Drive. Item 5D, based on town engineer review and recommendation, and including his recommended conditions, approve CenturyLink permit to install buried cable to service 4250 Otter Lake Road through boring and open trenching. And item 5E, based on town engineer's review and recommendation, and including his recommended conditions, approve XL Energy emergency permit to replace an electric service to the resident at 5074 Lakeview Avenue, which replaces a service coming from Pioneer Lane. Motion made to approve the 5 items on the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. We have one item under old business, it's 6A, regarding a hobby kennel license at 5715 Fisher Street. And this is discussion, a required follow-up discussion. Bill, is that yours, Bill?
Yes. On June 20th, the town board conducted a hearing regarding issuance of a hobby kennel license at 5715 Fisher Street. After hearing from neighbors and from the applicants, the board, after closing the public hearing, the board took the following action. Based on staff review and recommendation to approve the request for a hobby kennel license at 5715 Fisher for a 2-year period through March 31st, 2018, subject to the procedure stated in Ordinance 5. Installation of fence in the rear yard by the end of July, and review of fence plan by animal control officer, and inspection of the property after it's installed. The town received a call from the applicants that is summarized on page 41 of your packet. We received the call on August 11th from the applicant stating that that the fence was not yet built, but they planned on having it completed by August 15th. That's tonight. In anticipation of that, our town building inspector and animal control officer visited the site today. And their reports are summarized in your supplement in a memo from Patty dated August 15th, that's today. And in here, she summarizes that both Mike Johnson, town building inspector, and Mario Lee, animal control officer, inspected the fence, and here are their comments. Mike Johnson, fence is approximately 75% complete as of 11:30 this morning, and completed portions comply with the zoning requirements. Mario Lee's report is there are gaps on the bottom portion of the fence on the south side of the property which need to be closed so that little dogs don't escape. There's approximately 20 yards on the northeast side of the property which is lined with pine trees, brush, and a wood pile which needs to be fenced either with chain link or wood fencing. Boy, I'm thinking he meant 20 feet. I think 20 yards would be 60 feet, and I think it's supposed to be 20 feet, but, because I've seen the fence myself. Officer Lee verbally informed the owners of the above requirements which need to be completed and informed them that he will plan another site visit in approximately 2 weeks to check for compliance. In addition to those reports, the town received an email today from the resident N 5707 Fisher complaining about the fence and other things. And that email is in your supplement as well. So what it boils down to is the fence is not complete. It's partially complete. And that both our building inspector and the animal control officer have met with the applicant, reviewed the fence in detail. And the applicant has stated that it'll be completed by, in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so, we're past the original July 31 deadline. The animal control officer has, in his opinion, he's suggested that it would be reasonable to extend the deadline to get this project completed.
You know, he doesn't recommend extension, he just makes it clear it's not done yet, and that he's gonna visit in 2 weeks.
And he's planning on a visit in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And that's 2 weeks from today.
yes.
Okay. Questions from the board, comments?
You know, included in our packet was, you know, the owner was keeping in touch somewhat with Patty at the office, so, and there were weather delays supposedly. I do know, I drove by that property also, that the building material was there, so it was like, the intent is to do it. Now, the question is, they have a contractor, so they have a little more expertise, I would say, if supposedly with a contractor, so to do it right. So I don't mind extending it as long as we keep our finger on it to see that it gets done. So,
Actually, I think the applicant said July 31st.
They
And when
did.
we had made the comment, great, because I thought that was a healthy schedule, so.
That's what I remember.
I agree with that,
So I don't have a problem either extending it to get it done right.
yes.
Fisher Street must have had a bit of a traffic jam today, because with you out there, Bill, or with the...
I was out there last week.
Oh, last week, okay. Well, but Mike was out there today. Steve, you were out there today.
I was out yesterday,
I
actually.
was out there today. It's a popular spot. But it's too bad the applicants aren't here, but Bill, I think the staff needs to get hold of them tomorrow, at least give them a phone call and establish a sense of urgency to make sure the project continues. Because it looks to me like they have the materials there to finish building the fence. It's stockpiled by their driveway, so.
Well, according to this letter, they want a couple more gates put in. That also slowed them down.
Well, yeah,
so.
which is not an unreasonable design, but. So that's the only suggestion I would make, is that the staff just contact them and let them know what our decision is here tonight and act accordingly. So do we need a formal motion? And I suppose we should have a formal motion then to extend the deadline.
You should.
Bill, from what Mike has seen, is 2 weeks from today adequate?
It
Reasonable?
would be, the next town board meeting is September 7th.
All right, so by the next town board meeting, we'd like to see a report that it's finished.
Yes.
Okay. Does that make sense to the board?
Yes.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion based on the animal control officer and staff review and recommendations. Continue the hobby kennel license requirement follow-up until the next town board meeting on Wednesday, September 7th, 2016, to allow the homeowner time to implement Officer Lee's requirements noted above, also noting that Officer Lee will plan his next site visit before that meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion is made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item on the agenda is new business, and the first item is 7A regarding improvement of the Pine Hill development. And we have 3 items to address there: approving a change order, approving a pay estimate, and approve reduction in escrow deposit. And Jim, this is all yours,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, the project is ahead of schedule significantly. We do have a September 2nd deadline to achieve the base course, the concrete, all the utilities and everything, and that stuff has been installed. We're in the process of doing testing and backfilling, and there was sodding done today, and there's a lot of the smaller stuff, but all the substantial activities have been completed. We still don't have all the testing that is required with the sanitary sewer and water main and storm, but that was actually continuing today. As we've gone through this project, as you can see in change order number 2, we have some additional items. There were 7 utility conduit crossings that were added in. This is for all the private utilities, gas, electric, phone, all that, to go across in a joint trench area. When we did the water main crossing of County Road H2, the county overseeing that activity, they expanded the area that we needed to correct and increase the amount of bituminous that we had to put back in as per above what was in our specifications. So that was another increase of $6,400. The conduits was $1,120. Regarding the sanitary sewer, due to the conditions of the soils out there through the lower area, we made an adjustment to move the line that connected to the existing 21-inch sanitary sewer. That was an amount of just over $10,000, or $7,900, about $8,000, and the sanitary sewer, the 21-inch line that existed out there, as we were doing all this activity, we found that there was a sag in that pipe because we had all the equipment and everything right there and the access. We worked with Public Works to have approved to correct that sag in the line. Basically, we took the pipe that was out there, raised it back up to the design flow condition, and relayed it. So that was a good improvement and the ability to do the work with the contractor right there made it the most economical.
Jim, what caused it?
Soil conditions, everything out from there south to the railroad goes through lower areas. Nothing specific.
Well, what I'm getting at is if they jacked it up, then what'd they put under it to keep it from sagging again?
So we used the P-rock through that area, so we didn't want to put in too heavy a material because that would just push it out again. From what it appears through with that activity, I mean, we had a stabilizing type of condition. It was our best recommendation to deal with the conditions out there.
How much of a sag was it?
It's about 7/10, so we were getting close, 3/4 of a foot
Okay.
to, but with the 21-inch line, we're not sure this pipe went in 25 years ago. We're not sure, was it a continuous or something that happened lately, just because there's so much volume with that pipe. We never experienced a backup because the pipe still had plenty of capacity, even with that sag in it.
So with a 7-inch sag in a 21-inch pipe, the flow is still
Yeah, and
there.
yep,
Okay.
and our flow amount is still, a small portion of that 21-inch pipe.
Okay.
So those 4 items are additional cost of $26,335.39 for change order 2, so that would be one of the portions. Then also attached is pay estimate number 2. That lists all the items that we've done through the end of July. Total work, we are just over $618,000. This change order, one that was previously done for material, this change order number 2 for the additional work, we are up to $856,000. This is still significantly below what the original engineers' original costs were anticipated. So tonight we are looking for both approval of those additional items and then also for pay estimate number 2 of $185,660.30. The third component of that is the North Oaks Company put up $1,671,125 at the beginning of this project to cover all project costs associated with this project, with an additional 25% to cover any unforeseen activities. As we've gone through this, we have been requested to reduce that dollar amount because we are significantly under the budget amount. We've reviewed that, and we are proposing to reduce it by $300,000. So Township would still have $1,371,125 to cover all the current expenses and the anticipated expenses. These we will be going through in more detail here as we start approaching the completion of the project. We'll still have bituminous to be carried over till next year, and there's still items with the trail, but we feel confident that we still have enough funds to cover all those activities with this $300,000 reduction. We do anticipate there being further requests as we go through this process for more of a reduction in this. We also will be detailing out the township's portion of the activity regarding the County Road H2 water main portion, along with the services to the residents on the north side of that roadway. So overall, the project is ahead of schedule, it's under budget, and we recommend all 3 actions be approved tonight.
Jim, I know that they're still always doing final grading, but seems to be a lot of water ponding right south of H2 on the north end of that whole development. Now, I don't know if it's storm sewers, there's one down farther, but they've actually got a berm there blocking it from running down to that one. What are they doing with that?
Correct. The grading on the south side of H2 is still to be done. There was the old road access that went along the tree line. We are still using that, getting in and out of the project. So that will be dug out, and grades will be basically the existing storm inlet is roughly in the middle of Peterson Road and Centerville Road. So we will basically regrade the south ditch from Peterson to flow to the west and almost to Centerville Road to flow east to that. So
What
all
about-
that drainage activity,
What about that emergency entrance?
that's being worked out as to if it'll be overland or if we'll have to do some type of culvert.
Okay.
But the clearing of the trees in that area has shown that we want to further improve upon how that grading is taking place there, and then the landscaping that will be done once the grading is completed.
And that standing water that you're talking about, did you notice that before or after that big rainfall that we got?
It's every rainfall.
It's a,
There's no place to go. It's
yeah,
trapped.
Okay.
we do have an area that, yeah, doesn't have an outlet at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it's not over the road, but there's water. But,
But the plan, basically,
So-
the plan isn't completely implemented yet. So once the construction is complete, that area will be drained.
So yeah, there was part of the grading plan to deal with some of this, and there's gonna be some additional grading activity to do out on the site. Overall, the developer, North Oaks Company, knows that they are short of material, and that is still being addressed in some of the lots, dealing with the trail that we have out there, some of the storm sewer and water main areas. So there's adjustments to the grading plans that will be addressed and more material hauled in, but we are aware of the drainage concerns and the cover concerns out there.
So knowing that there's a material shortage, a reduction in the escrow still leaves a balance to cover that
Correct.
as well. Okay.
question, I think at the very beginning, you were talking about the sodding. Is that on the north side, you were saying? Is that where they had trenched under and in those
Yes.
yards?
So as part of the service that the water main was run on the south side of County Road H2, we did directional boring under
To
the
all those
roadway to all
lots.
those. But you have an excavation pit on the north side where
And that's what you were
we,
sodding.
yes, that was all completed today.
And then down where Centerville and H2 meet, it looks like there was access, cement access, where instead of curb and gutter, they put concrete down there. Is there supposed to be some kind of sidewalk going past there, or is that just required? Right at the very corner, on the south side.
There's a concrete curb for just the radius, and there's an inlet, a storm structure that the drainage goes to. There is no sidewalk
I didn't think
over in that area. And the east side of Peterson Road on the north side, there was an existing sidewalk. We are going to be connecting that to the south on the east side of Peterson Road, and that will tie into the trail system within Pine Hill. So the connection will be made to the sidewalk east of Peterson Road, but that's the only area within County Road H2.
And that connection is part of this project.
The
Correct.
trail will come out and cross to the sidewalk, is what you're.
Yeah, so the Pine Hills Trail comes out right at the southeast corner of Peterson and our new connection at H2. It runs along the north side of the pond, it runs along the east side of the pond, it goes all the way to the south property line, and then it also ties back up into the middle of the project.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions, Ed?
Good answers.
So we have 3 action items. Why don't we take them one at a time? Is there a motion regarding the change order number 2 to increase the amount by 26,000? Sorry, to increase the amount of the project cost to $26,335.39.
I'll move, based on town engineer review and recommendations, that we approve change order number 2. That's the project increased amount of $26,335.39, bringing the total construction cost to $856,478.39.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is approved.
I'll also move, based on town engineer review and recommendations, that we approve pay estimate number 2 in the amount of $185,660.30.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the pay estimate number 2. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
And last, I'll move, based on town engineer review and recommendations, that we approve the reduction of the escrow deposit by $300,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the reduction in the escrow deposit. If there's no further discussion, I'll call that question. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Well, that allows us to move on to the next item on the agenda, 7B, regarding improvement number 2016-2, and that's the Southeast Area Sewer Relining Project. And Jim, that's yours as well.
Yep. Mr. Chair, members of the board, the town board authorized the feasibility to be prepared. We got the draft of that completed. We then held 2 neighborhood meetings to go over this. All the 452 residential properties and the 5 businesses that are located in the area east of Bel Air Avenue, and in the intersection of County Road F, so we go from F to the north to the lake and through the residential neighborhood to the south. As we said, we had 2 of these preliminary meetings to present how the project would go about, what it means to the residents and the businesses. We walked through that the overall project is a grand total of $1,713,000, that there would be $2,500 for each residential unit for an assessment. If you take the 452 units times that $2,500, you come up with $1,130,000 in assessments for the residents. Regarding the commercial, the 5 parcels will have a residential equivalent that ranges from a 1 unit for 2 of the parcels, 3 units for another, 4 for a 4th, and 26 units for a 5th. Those are all multiplied by that $2,500. So we range from $2,500 up to $65,000 regarding those commercial assessments. Those grand total for both the residential and commercial assessments is $1,217,500. That would be over a 10-year assessment period. That would leave $495,000 to be paid through the sanitary sewer fund. We have the schedule in the feasibility. After those residential meetings, the answers, the questions, everything we went through was very favorable from the people that did attend. We basically were able to keep the report as presented. You can see we put together a time frame in the report for the next steps. that is where we're at tonight. Following those residential meetings would be to receive this feasibility and to call the public improvements hearing. That would be set for September 19th, where we will provide a presentation walking through the entire project that we've been discussing for the sanitary sewer improvements. Following that public hearing, we'll look at preparing if it is favorable and the town board so decides, preparation of those plans, specifications, and going through the bidding and awarding process. This project could start by the end of the year. We see it taking or providing a year for this activity to take place to make sure we get very good bids. We also want to bid it this fall so that we have a long time frame for the contractors to do it. The work can be done, as we've seen on our South Shore project, when the weather is colder, because for the most part, all the work is being done underground, lining the pipes. There will be some excavation necessary, but for the most part, we have a very open schedule for doing the work. The follow-up then would be next fall with the completion of the project to do the assessment hearing. So it is a $1.7 million project. We have laid out the financing of this, and we would recommend proceeding with the steps outlined to continue moving forward with this project.
And so, for the actual construction part, the actual construction schedule, winter 2017 to fall 2017, so you're,
So
it's
could-
about a 6-month physical
Six-
project in the field.
No, it could start before the end of this year, so it
Oh.
could start in 2016.
The actual
at
construction.
The actual construction
Okay.
in December, and then would go all the way through the winter, the beginning of January 2017, through the summer into the fall.
Okay.
The neighborhood letters that go out, we had, I thought, talked about including some of the Q&As that were done through these informational meetings. Will that, is that still the plan?
Well, yes, we'll set that up for the public hearing to do questions and have that set up in the letter that goes out for the public hearing.
Okay.
Well, it looks like we have a nice lead time on this project. That's always nice to see. We're not rushed to
Correct.
get something done. But with the work that you've done so far, it's pretty obvious that some of this work is actually overdue. We have some pretty severe and bad pipe conditions that need to be fixed or replaced one way or the other, so. But it's nice to see a nice lead time like this. Are there any other questions from the board? I do have one question. There's 3 action items requested here. The last one is to approve a $1,900 cost for the preparation activities. And we've authorized TKDA to do that work, but the note here is that the $1,900 is already in the overall budget of the $1.713 million. So do we really need to
I don't think so.
pass a separate motion on that?
Yeah, no.
Okay, so we only have 2 action items then.
And I'll work with Jim to clean that part of the procedure up.
Okay. All right, so the first action item is to approve, is a request to approve a resolution to receive the report on the project.
Based on town engineer review and recommendations, I'll move to adopt the resolution receiving report on the southeast area sanitary sewer lining improvement.
Second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the resolution to receive the report for the sanitary sewer lining improvement. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the second action item is a resolution to call for a hearing on improvement number 2016-2.
That's so moved, noting that the hearing will be held here at 4200 Otter Lake Road on Monday, September 19th, 2016, at 7:10 PM. This Heritage Hall.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved. Okay, item 7C is a Public Works item. Dale, you're gonna talk to us about the 2016 I&I program?
Televising, yes, I am. So, good evening. I'm here to present to you, as part of the town's, a component of the town's comprehensive, infrastructure management program. This year, I'm proposing we televise, roughly 30,000 lineal feet of sewer line. A lot of discussion in the previous items about sewer lines and how to get to assess those conditions is all part of this televising process. And we use these televised documents to help determine the pipe structural condition and evaluate the pipe for infiltration, leaks from water flowing into the pipe from joints, cracks, and service line connections, and provide information on the cleanliness of the pipe to assist in determining the frequency of the cleaning to be performed on the system. And assist with addressing the I&I exceedance identified by the Metropolitan Council Environmental Services to help us address their concerns over the water coming into the pipe, the treated system that they got in their plants, causing them to expand their treatment facility with excess flows. The township has approximately 58 miles of sanitary sewer main line, 11 of which are vitreous clay pipe, which is the majority of the pipe that I'm proposing we televise. Maybe I could jump right into the scope or the area that to be televised is the area from West Street, north of Stillwater Street, around Bald Eagle Lake, up to the Overlake area, excluding the portion of the pipe that we already had televised and lined here this last year, from Hugo Road into Auburn. And now we'll be expanding that televising into the remainder of the area in the Overlake development. We have a lot of different types of pipe in the system. We've got, vitreous, I mentioned the vitreous clay tile pipe, but we also have reinforced concrete pipe. We have, HDPE, high density polyethylene, PVC, polyvinyl coated, and some ductile iron for force mains. I've received 2 quotes for the televising. One from HydroClean, formerly Infratech Incorporated. And Infratech has done work for the town we're talking about Bel Air area. They've done some televising for us down there and done a great job providing us the documentation. And VisuSewer is the other vendor who provided a quote. The quote from HydroClean was for $22,490, and the one from VisuSewer is for $23,895. Now they both have quotes for lineal footage for the main line, with some pricing also for easement lines, which there's attached. You'll see there's a couple easement lines, and particularly the one along Centerville Road along easement line. And there's different methods of accessibility considered by both of them. One's going to use a tracked unit. The other one's going to use their normal televising units, so there's a little differentiation in how they're approaching the project. The only one they agree upon, or the easement that they agree, the method of televising is the one between Bald Eagle and Stillwater Street. So I'm recommending that we go with HydroClean for the amount of $22,490 for the cleaning, televising of the 2016 televising project.
Okay, and this expense will all be part of our agreement with the Met Council.
That is correct. This will be credited towards a surcharge that Met Council has proposed against the community, or the township, for that was a
Okay.
total of $70,000, almost $70,000 a year. So this will be applied to that $70,000. Yes.
That was the
Okay.
question,
Any questions?
Nope, that was the.
Ed?
Just one, in your memo, maybe I'm reading this wrong, but you're recommending the town board award the work to Visus Sewer.
Yeah, that's a mistake on Dale's part. He corrected the first part, but he didn't correct the last
Okay.
part of that
I was gonna say,
paragraph.
'cause aren't we bound to go with the lower bidder anyway?
So, well, and I, thank you for pointing that out. I should have mentioned that.
Okay. That was the only thing.
Okay, so the action item requested is to approve the HydroClean quote. Right,
Yes.
okay. All right, is there a motion to that effect?
I'll move, based on Public Works Director report, that we approve the quote from HydroClean for televising and reporting in the amount of $22,490, noting funding from the sewer operating fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the quote from HydroClean. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. The last item on the agenda is 7D, and that's regarding Stoddard property disposition issues. Chad, is that yours?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Bill, are you leading this off, or is Chad
Chad's got it.
I'll be
taking
taking
it?
this one.
Okay, it's all yours then, Chad.
Okay, thank you. What you're looking at is the proposed resolution to condemn or take by eminent domain the Stoddard property consisting of 22.31 acres. And just to go through the resolution with you, the first paragraph, identify the property and identify the zoning of the property. And then the next, we talk about why you're doing it. The purpose of doing it is to deal with the action which Stoddard's have taken against the township, and the public purpose. I'll just slow down a little bit. In their complaint, the Stoddard complaint, they did request the court as one of the prayers for relief that the court order that the town commence condemnation proceedings against, to take the property. So therefore, we're simply complying with the terms with their prayer for relief, or just bypassing the judge, basically, simply going right to the point. And the basis for the taking the property is the fact that the Stoddard property, the township has adopted a aircraft safety zone overlay ordinance, which they claim adversely affects their property, and therefore, for the purpose of maintaining that easement and dealing with the adverse effects on their property, the town is simply acquiring title to it. It would be acquiring fee title to the property. And again, the purpose is to maintain the aircraft safety overlay in place. Now, and also, there's one other thing too, is we're also doing it for the purpose of avoiding any future litigation involving the town as well. If you note, one of the whereas clauses, it's on second page, third one from the bottom. Again, we're simply stating that, given the fact that even once this action is completed, it's unlikely that this will be the last time the Stoddard's will be litigating with the township. Therefore, to avoid any future problems with the Stoddard's, we'll simply take the property now. And that, by the way, is a allowed purpose. And so the public purpose, again, is to protect the existing aircraft safety zone overlay and also to avoid future litigation. Now, the actual resolution itself will be authorizing the town attorneys to commence an action on behalf of the town to take by eminent domain and fee title the property located at 5685 Portland Avenue, which is the Stoddard property consisting of 22.31 acres. And again, the purpose is to maintain the aircraft safety overlay district in place, and also to deal with the lawsuit brought by the Stoddards. You're also authorizing a quick take of the property. That means that upon granting the petition by the court granting the petition, the town has the right, but not the duty, if you take by a quick take, you have the obligation to then deposit into court the appraised value as determined by the town appraiser, McKinsey Appraisals, of $528,200. And once that amount's deposited into court, fee title is then transferred to the township. So again, just to highlight the purpose of the resolution, you're taking the reasonable necessity is to protect the existing aircraft safety overlay zone and to deal with the outstanding lawsuit brought by the Stoddards. Then, as a result, you're protecting the health and safety of the residents of the town of White Bear. In addition, you're authorizing, and this will be by fee title, you'll be taking fee title of the property, and also you're authorizing us to proceed by quick take, which means that upon granting the petition, you will deposit in the court the appraised value as established by our appraiser, and at that point in time, title will pass to the town.
Chad, this is quite not the norm that a property owner would actually petition us to take their property.
Well, it is actually somewhat the norm. If a property owner feels that through the actions of the governmental entity, in this case the township, that their property has been taken for public use, in this case it's taken to provide for an aircraft safety zone, they have the right to petition the court for an order requiring the township to commence condemnation proceedings, eminent domain proceedings. So from that standpoint, it's normal practice if a landowner feels that the governmental entity has taken their property for public purposes. This is a little different. Normally, the public purposes, such as your drainage, is the most common reason for this kind of action. But this is a regulatory taking. Regulatory being, in this case, the overlay zone. But it's I will say it's a unique method of dealing with the lawsuit.
I guess there's three items that I focus on here. One is, they're all on the second page, one is that the Stoddards have requested that the town commence condemnation proceedings, so we're responding to that.
Correct.
That was their idea,
That's correct.
okay.
That's one of their prayers for relief.
Okay. Probability of ongoing litigation necessitates acquiring fee title to protect the town against future claims and litigation. So the town, by acquiring the land through condemnation, can identify very specifically then what land is needed for the air safety zone.
Yes, it can.
And we can control that air safety zone for that purpose.
Yes, because it's
And-
problematical how much of their property is adversely affected by the existing aircraft safety zone overlay district. By taking the entire property, you're avoiding any future actions.
And by controlling it that way, future actions from anybody.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because once the town acquires the property, the town can place any restrictions it wishes on the property when it reconveys title.
Okay.
And granted, the present action would more than likely deal with any claims that Stoddard have regarding the overlay zone. That doesn't mean that there won't be future claims in some way related to how the town deals with this property. And again, they'd be related to the whole history of the property, part of which, and the overlay is really, it's very central to the history of the development of this property.
So when you say other, that could be from other parties?
Well, no,
Once we
well,
take
it could be from other parties, but more likely from Stoddard's.
Okay.
But by following this, that possibility
Right,
disappears.
exactly, because
Okay.
once you control the property, you can place whatever restrictions you will deem are needed to protect the township.
And future development of the property will be under those conditions. and
Exactly.
we'll be able to avoid any confusion and any lawsuits.
The town, like any other landowner, has the right to place restrictions on
Okay.
property, and anyone who purchased the property takes subject to those restrictions and has no right to challenge those restrictions.
And then the third comment that is highlighted for me anyway is that the justification is that, second to the last whereas, that the overlay is needed, reasonably necessary to protect health and safety of town residents. So we're providing for public safety and welfare.
Yes.
And it's more than just providing operating safety for the airport, it's also safety for neighboring residents.
Exactly.
All
And
right.
based on the testimony at prior hearings regarding the Stoddard property's development, I think it's clear that many of the surrounding residents do feel the aircraft safety overlay zone is necessary for their safety and protection.
Okay, questions from the board?
No, I think we've discussed this to the point where I'm satisfied.
Okay. Ed, anything else?
Nope.
So the action item that is requested here then is to approve the resolution ordering eminent domain of property located at 5685 Portland Avenue.
Correct.
Okay. One detailed question. Bill, is anybody living at that property now?
I don't think so.
Okay, so do you have any idea how long it's been empty?
No.
Okay. All right,
All right, I'll move to adopt the resolution ordering eminent domain on property located at 5665 Portland Avenue, White Bear Township, Ramsey County, State of Minnesota, hereinafter referred to as the Stoddard property.
I think the proper address is 5685.
85, sorry.
Yes.
is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the resolution ordering eminent domain of property located at 5685 Portland Avenue.
Before you vote on that, may I make a recommendation that that the taking will be a fee title? You'll be taking the fee title to the property.
That's as
As specified in the
that's
resolution.
specified in the resolution, so we're just clarifying that
Yes,
as part of the motion.
correct.
Okay, John, did you get that? Okay. Right, is that agreeable to
Yep.
the, okay. All right, no further questions or comments?
Just one, is this a first for the township? I can't ever remember this. and then-
Actually, it's not. This has happened before. One case I can think of was a small lot in which the town was sued over, an action was brought against the town for refusal to grant building permits. That matter was resolved in mediation by the town purchasing the property, and I believe the town in that case actually bought the property and then divided up sold it to two abutting landowners.
Good
So
memory.
that's happened before.
So it's a
It
happy
wasn't
ending.
through condemnation. It was through mediation as part of
Yes.
a lawsuit.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a reasonable outcome.
And that's still possible, even right now, that could still be possible before this condemnation
Yes.
fully
The-
takes effect.
Exactly, just
Right.
because authorizing this does not preclude the town and the Stoddards from resolving the issue and settling it.
All right. Okay, I'll call the question on the motion. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Okay, so that completes the agenda items for the night. Item 8 is, there are no added agenda items, that's nothing. Item 9, open time. Is there anyone here for open time?
Kay is
And
here.
I see we have one person here. Would you please state your name and your address and your subject?
My name is Kay Sargent. I live.
I'm sorry,
Kay Sargent.
okay.
I live at 5344 Eagle Street, White Bear Township in Minnesota. And I'm here today to talk about highly hazardous cottonwood tree. Can I get some help? I want to show some pictures. If you can show me how to use the overhead, please.
Dale, can you grab the screen there? Yep. Thanks, Dale.
If I could get these lights on, it would be better quality. Here we go. We'll go with this. Okay, this is Cottonwood, at 2302 Fifth Court. The property is owned by Robert and Jane Leeper. They also run their business JB Stainless out of there. This is taken from our side yard. Couple of things I want to point out. This is a little bit distorted. You can see here, there was a branch here that has.
Okay, we really need you to stay at the podium so the audience watching the closed-circuit TV broadcast can hear you.
I didn't know I was on closed-circuit TV. Okay, then, Bill, if I tell you, just wait at this point. I will let you know, okay? Okay, Tom Radisell, am I pronouncing his name correctly?
Redessel? Yeah.
Redessel, and the township have taken a courageous step by sending an enforcement action for the removal of Robert and Jane Leeper's cottonwood tree at 2302 Fifth Court in White Bear Lake. So this is a copy of the enforcement action. It was written on July 8th of 2006.
Can,
Yes.
that, you're talking White Bear Township, not
White
White
Bear
Bear
Township.
Lake.
Excuse me. White Bear Township.
Thank you.
The cottonwood has been deemed as a high hazard, bordering on an extreme hazard, and the enforcement action stated that they needed to remove the tree in 20 days. It has now been 37 days. I am very concerned about the safety of our property and my family. This tree, our home, our garage, our living room is in the fall area that this tree can go. I was first aware of concerns surrounding this cottonwood in 2010. Our neighbors, Dave and Diane Hovland, their garage is right, probably would be ground zero if this tree comes down. So back in 2010, their son Corey Hovland came to our door. He was upset because Robert Leeper had told his dad that the Leeper cottonwood was about to fall on their garage. This was 2010. Corey approached us, my husband Dana Raines, and myself, Kay Sargent, for guidance, as my husband has a degree and experience in forestry, and I have a degree and experience in horticulture. We could not help Corey, Dave, or Diane Hovland, as tree hazard assessment is a highly specialized discipline. It is my understanding that the township guided the Hovlands to an arborist that conducted an assessment. I don't know what kind, but I have discussed this with Dave Hovland. At that time, in 2010, the arborist concluded the cottonwood was considered stable in large part due to the surrounding trees that protected it from wind and whose roots helped stabilize it. However, during the next few years, Robert Leeper removed most of those protective trees. Dave Hovland gave Robert Leeper a copy of the assessment. Yes, the next one. So this tree, this here shows you, it shows you the cottonwood tree, and this is looking due north. The Hovland's house is directly west. You can see there's other trees that are as tall or taller surrounding the cottonwood, okay? And that's,
Okay, is that your home there?
yes.
Okay.
Next one. So this spring, another neighbor, and whoops. Okay, nope, this is fine. So here you can see, and this was in 2010, you can see at least 4 trees right in the area of the cottonwood. The large trunked tree is the cottonwood. Okay, the next one. Yep, this is also 2010. Here's a couple of additional trees right in the area. The concept here is that having trees surrounding a tree that is unstable will help protect it from the wind, and also the intertwining root systems will help stabilize it. Okay, here is 2016. Right in front is one stump. You can see another stump. You can see the other trees right around the cottonwood have been removed.
Is the tree leaning any more, in that picture, is the tree leaning any more
Than it did in
that angle than
2010.
it did in 2010?
Yes,
Roughly, a lot more, a little more? Or-
you will see.
Okay.
Okay, again, here is 2010, and you can see the other trees. Right behind the chimney is a box elder that I will talk about in a bit. This is the same tree. Okay, you can see the other trees have been removed. Do you want to go back to that 2010? So again, 2010, you can see the crown is basically upright. There is some leaning to the west. Okay, the other one. Now the tree is leaning much more to the left. I will pass around this picture later on, but one thing that we did not see in 2010 that you can see in 2016 is the lowest branches can be seen on the west side of our garage, okay? So if you go back to 2010, it's not even near that. 2016, it's way over. And the lowest branch is that height. And this spring, I had to jump to reach it, okay? Tied it with a pink ribbon. I know that it hasn't grown 4 or 5 feet. It is leaning, and it is leaning not just one way, but a couple of ways, so it's leaning more towards our home. Let's see where I am. Okay. Next one. So this spring, I think I am missing a couple of, no. Okay, I'm missing a couple of slides, but why don't you just hold off on that? But this spring, Mike Aho and I, he's a neighbor on the east side of our house, we agreed to have a clump of silver maples removed. We received 3 bids. Tyler Jacobson of Woodchuck, Mike Jordan from A Cut Above, and Jim Swenson of J&S Tree Service all came to our home. So this was on the side of our house. The clump was like, the base of it was this big around, 6 very massive individual trunks. There was some sign of deterioration, some rotting, and some branches coming down. Anyhow, all 3 tree service people gave similar statements, unsolicited. I can't believe that cottonwood is still standing. Why doesn't someone take that down? You should contact the township. We hired Jim Swenson of J&S Tree Service to remove our silver maples. He would not even bid on removing the cottonwood tree because it was too unstable. Because of the tree service's comments, I sought out an expert that conducts tree risk assessments. And afterwards, I will show you these. You have seen the report associated with it. The International Society of Arborists. This is not someone local. This is not statewide. This is not national. This is an international society of arborists. Certify arborists. They also have a narrower qualification that people can take and pass in the White Bear Township area, in a 25-mile area around there. There's only 4 people who are tree risk assessors that can use this document, this form for assessing trees, and they have to be trained very specifically on it. So we hired one of them, Mark Rader, of S&S Tree and Horticultural Specialist. He systematically evaluated the tree using the ISA's assessment form. And when assessing a tree, it is not simply if it might fall, if branches might break down. It is also what it will hit. So the first thing that is done is what is the tree target description. The garage, the Hovland's garage, our house, and a fire pit. Okay, they talked about site factors. He evaluated tree health, load factors, defects of the crown and branches, trunk, roots, and root collar, and then did a risk categorization. In the end, he said, even if numerous branches are removed to reduce weight, the root plate lifting issue still exists. As I say, he marked it as a high hazard bordering on extreme hazard. This cottonwood is not a border tree. It's clearly in the Leapers' property, and it is the responsibility of the owners. On the day Mark Rader conducted the tree assessment, he and I knocked on the Leapers' door, and Jane Leaper walked with us out to the tree. Jane Leaper informed both of us that the $7,000 it would cost to have the cottonwood removed was a lot of money and that they could use it on other things. She went on to say, besides, your home insurance will pay for any damages. I was astounded at this kind of cavalier reply. I wonder how Linda and Jeremy Segstad, they live at 5351 Eagle Street, would react to that attitude of, besides, your insurance company will pay for it. Their house was hit on an evening like tonight. No wind, pleasant. My husband and I were sitting out on the front deck, and we heard a booming crash. No wind, no rain, no hail, no tornadoes. Linda and her daughter were at dance practice. Jeremy was at work. Their preteen son was home alone. Luckily, he was not in the living room when that massive tree came down into their living room. This cottonwood can come down in our living room. The Leapers' reckless attitude of, besides, your insurance will pay for it, is carried over into how they manage other trees on their property. Robert Leaper consistently trims trees near the property line, causing the trees to then lean due to uneven weight distribution over property line. So if you can see here, it's hard to see. Again, I'd be glad to share these photos. But that leaning tree is a box elder. Okay, the next one. So on the left, this is the same tree. It's been trimmed up. 2010, 2016, and that is leaning toward our living room also. I am going to leave you copies of a document called Hazard Tree Liability in the United States. It talks again about a tree is not a hazard unless it has a target. It also talks about the difference between negligence and malfeasance when it comes to trees. Basically, if you intentionally destabilize a tree, it is not negligence. At this time, it's unclear when the hazardous cottonwood will be removed. Precision Tree Care Company sent a crew out to remove the tree on the morning of August 8th, but the crew leader realized the precarious nature of the tree. Now, the only access to the tree is Eagle Street, and that is under road construction. The tree removal should have been done within 3 weeks of issuance of the enforcement letter. It has now been 5 weeks. The cottonwood's crown continues to shift. I cannot see if the root plate is lifting. The Leapers have a clear knowledge that this tree was and is a high hazard bordering on an extreme hazard. This is not new knowledge to them. They have dragged their feet on its removal for years. They have removed branches, they've removed supporting trees, causing additional instability to the cottonwood. Please note, Robert and Jane Leaper have not responded to phone requests for information on how or if they plan on removing the cottonwood. I am hoping that the township will continue to keep me informed. I do have a request. If the cottonwood at 2302 Fifth Court, White Bear Township, Minnesota 55110 does fail before it has been removed, I'm requesting further examination and assessment of the tree roots, completed by an International Society of Arborists certified tree risk assessment qualified arborists. There are rumors, and not from me, not from the Hovlands, but from someone who is not impacted by this tree. There are rumors that the roots have been physically damaged. I am also concerned that the leapers will assert, despite the fact that cottonwoods thrive in floodplains, that any root damage is due to seasonal flooding. Having the cottonwood roots assessed could clear up these questions. I do not have the authority to order this kind of assessment. Under certain situations, I would consider paying for it. Does the township have that authority? Does the township have the authority to ask for a tree risk assessment on the roots if this tree were to fail?
I would say we probably do, but I would refer to the attorney here, because what's happening is, this is, obviously, the township is concerned about this, but this is a dispute between neighbors, and sometimes that is out of our realm, so.
This is a high hazard tree.
I understand that, but
This
it's.
this is a private nuisance tree.
I understand it, and that's why I would like
Well,
the
that's-
attorney's view on it.
That's actually the point. If it's a public nuisance, be a violation, it'd be a potential violation of the of the nuisance ordinance adopted by the town. But it had to be a public nuisance.
How many people does it have to impact before it's a public nuisance?
I can't answer that question at the moment. I'd have to look at the ordinance again to verify.
There are 4 properties that will be impacted.
I understand. I understand that. But the question is it a public nuisance? At this point in time, I really can't say for sure if it is a public nuisance or not. If it is a public nuisance, then there are procedures in the ordinances which allow the town to order the tree to be removed. That does require a hearing.
It has happened.
Okay, well, there has to be a hearing, though. If they don't remove it, if you've issued the order, if they don't remove it, if the letter's been issued and they haven't removed it, then they have the right to a hearing before the town can take any further action.
So the leapers have a right to a hearing.
That's what the ordinance says. Anyone who is found to be creating a public nuisance has the right to a hearing.
And the township schedules that hearing.
Yeah, the township schedules that, and be a hearing before the town board. You're the hearing officers in that matter.
Dale, just quick side question here. The construction work on Eagle Street, what's going on there? When's it gonna be finished?
Well, they were to be milling today, but the contractor's milling machine had broke down. They'll be there tomorrow, milling. And then they'll be paving Thursday, Friday, for the base course, and the wear course will be next week. So the county would prefer they get into, I think there was a call about when they could get access, and they told me, hey, you can go now, or good, but evidently, I don't know the details.
They could get in there
Yeah, they could,
immediately.
they could get in now, no problem, anytime up to, they just don't want to go in there after wear course is on.
When is the last time you talked to Tom on this?
Friday.
Friday? Okay.
Actually,
He's
I'm
out
not
this
sure.
week, I believe.
Thursday?
Yeah,
I'm
so-
not sure.
So, I think we have to find out what he has done on this up to this point. I mean, he answered the attorney answered the question as far as the legalities, but I don't know where Tom's at on this either. And maybe there is things in the works that we don't know about.
He says he's working with the landowner.
Working with, I'm sorry, who?
Landowner is working him.
Well, you have to understand that there is due process, which everyone's entitled to due process. requires that the town take certain steps. And the first step is to issue the letter that Tom sent out. The next step is, if there's not compliance, is to then order a hearing at which they have the right to come in and plead their case, plead their side of the story, as well as you have the right to come in and, and state your side of the story. And after that point, the town board, acting as the hearing officers, determines that it is a public nuisance, they can order it to be taken down. But they have a right to be heard. And it's in the ordinance. We have to follow the ordinance.
They could be here too.
No, there's a time frame that has to be followed. The exact time frame, I can't cite it to you right now, but there has to be proper notice given, and that has to be done. I will say that this is not the first public nuisance the town board has dealt with unfortunately, in the last few years. But they do deal with it, and it will be dealt with if it's found to be a public nuisance. But the leapers have the right to be heard.
I guess I would like to suggest the first thing we can do tonight is receive your report. Let's do that. I'd like to review with the town inspector and the town planner exactly what they have done and what their next steps are. I think, and then we need to visit with staff and the town attorney about follow-up to schedule a hearing with the leapers. And I don't see any reason why that can't be expedited. We should be able to schedule a hearing in the fairly near future. I don't think we can do it in the next few days, but
No, it'd have to be done regular, but I would think you we might have time to do it by the next regular town board meeting, but I can't say for sure, because I have to double check the ordinance, the
This is a
mechanics.
highly time-sensitive
Well,
situation.
And seeing your pictures, I understand totally what you're saying, and I do understand your concerns, but we have to follow the procedure set out in the ordinance.
Yes, sir.
Bill, would this be a public hearing?
I'm sure it would be.
Yeah,
Then we'd have to have it, we'd have to publish it?
No,
It's certainly, if it's a hearing before the town board, it's a public hearing. But whether or not it has 10 days or double notice, we'll have to check the ordinance.
yeah.
All right.
that's the kind of thing we need to review with staff
appreciate
and the
that.
town attorney. And who knows, something might happen sooner than later. It might stay that way and just keep leaning for months or years. I don't know. Nobody knows. But I'd rather not drag this thing out any longer than it has to be. I'd rather
I
see it.
appreciate
I
that.
think we'd all would like to see it expedited. And like I say, let us receive your statement. The town planner and the town inspector can review that. We'll get their assessments and updates from their perspective. And in the meantime, we'll be working on just how and what kind and when we can schedule a hearing with the leapers.
I do appreciate your concern, but we have to follow the procedure set out in the
I
ordinances.
understand, sir.
So if we follow that, is there anything else that we can consider tonight?
No. One other thing it says on the basic tree risk assessment, it recommends monthly inspections.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, okay, thank you very much. And Bill and town will keep you up to speed with what we hear from staff.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Kay.
All right, any other open time discussions? Seeing none? Is there, pardon me?
Receive the report.
All right, we'll note that we have received Kay Sorensen's report. All right, is there a motion to receive agenda materials and supplements?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
Is
moved.
there a second?
Second.
We are adjourned.